little puppets, and welcome to another episode of the Poppet Pals Review. We're two best friends who love horror stuff. My name is Katie.
And I'm Derek.
And we are here for our third episode now. But first, we always like to fill you in on the scary and horror-filled things we've done for the week. Derek, would you like to go first?
Ooh, me. Yes. Yeah, I would. Let's see. I got, I showed you a picture of this and I posted it on our Instagram. I got an Evil Dead collector's box that I love and I would like to actually review in a video one day because I love it.
Hint.
Yeah,
Hint.
yeah. It's really cool. It has Evil Dead 1, 2. It's called the Groovy Edition, by the way. Naturally, Evil Dead 1, 2, and it has Ash vs. Evil Dead, and it's a really cool box. Check our Instagram if you want to see a picture of it. It's on Amazon. It's pretty affordable, and I actually binged Evil Dead this weekend. So yeah, I think that's my only real scary update. I bought another Crystal Skull. You were there. You saw.
I did. It was pretty fantastic.
Oh yeah, love me skulls. But yeah, I think it's about it. How about you?
Well, I am continuing to read my new Stephen King book.
Yes.
It's still getting really good.
Fairy
and then
tale.
I also, yes, fairy tale. I will let you all know if it's good if I get to the end of the book ever. But I also watched the new movie on Netflix, The Pale Blue Eye, with that's about loosely about Edgar Allan Poe, and it was pretty good. It was a little slow in places. I was expecting a little more out of it, but it had a really good twist ending.
Oh, cool.
And then, of course, I went and saw the movie that we are talking about today at the movie theater.
Oh yes. Going back to that, was the twist ending like an M. Night Shyamalan twist ending?
No, it wasn't that kind of twist. It's more of a... It's not really necessarily a horror movie. It's more of a murder mystery thriller.
Oh, that's good.
It just happens to have Edgar Allan Poe in it.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
But so it had kind of like a little twist ending dealing with the murders in the movie.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, again, you find...
I don't want to give away anything since we're not reviewing that movie this week.
Yeah. And this, once again, Poppet fans out there, this is an example of what makes us good horror partners. She goes out and finds these movies I didn't even know existed and brings it to our table for me. And I'm like sitting here.
Yeah, and it's got... I don't know his real name, but his name to me is Dudley Dursley from the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, there you go.
He's Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, you will.
And I apologize to you for not knowing your name.
Oh, it's okay. You've established on each episode you're bad with names. Each episode.
I know.
Which is fine.
Literally every single
Fine. I can wiki anybody. Well, I guess that brings us to our review for today. We both saw this film the same day. Both have little different opinions on it, so that will be interesting. But I'm pretty proud of us just in general that we're reviewing a movie from the new year. Like, we are up to date. We're not going... Yeah,
yes.
We're caught up, sort of.
We're here on time.
Yeah, on time. So... I guess we're going to start. We like to do spoiler-free impressions just for people that want to go out and see this. If they're just wanting a quick yes or no from us. You want to go first with that? Like kind of a general...
Yeah, no problem. So the movie we are reviewing this episode is M3GAN, the new sci-fi horror film that just came out this weekend. My overall impression is it's kind of just... To me, it was like a middle of the road movie. Like, it's enjoyable. It's a movie that I'm like, yeah, I would watch that. Like, there wasn't anything necessarily wrong with it. I think I just wanted more out of it as a horror fan. it's definitely more on the sci-fi side than horror, in my opinion. But I still thought it had its creepy moments. I did get one really good jump scare, which was funny. I'll tell you guys about later. But I mean, it was a good movie. I wasn't coming out going, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing. It was so scary." It was okay to watch. It wasn't like my favorite movie, but I also didn't not like it, I guess. So I think it's worth a watch at least one time, especially if you want to watch something that's creepy, but not over the top creepy. If you're someone that's not a horror fan, but you like a little bit of a thriller, I guess.
That's totally right. Like, and it's an interesting point because this movie has a PG-13 rating, and they actually toned it down quite a bit for that. Did a lot of, I think, a lot of cuts. So I'm hoping we get an uncensored version of this. I know we'll get into that.
Yeah, and I might enjoy it. I might, as a horror fan, I might like an uncensored cut
because
more.
I told you, which I came out of this movie like super excited and feeling great, and I think part of the reason was that I had a whole row in the theater pretty much to myself. And that really made my experience enjoyable.
Yes.
Like I enjoy going to the theater at noon. Like, you know,
And there not being anyone
I'm an
else
old
there.
man, but that's okay. But there were some children. There was actually quite a bit of children, like ages of like, I don't know, 12, 13, seeing this. So yeah. So
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
And I think when you first told me there were kids in your viewing, I was a little like, really, guys?
Me too.
But after seeing the movie, I think it's totally fine
Totally
for
fair.
a child of 12 to 13 age range. There's not
Yeah.
anything just over the top, like
Exactly.
crazy in it.
You know, our hard brains are programmed to expect certain things, and there were moments in this film I was like, oh
We're
gosh,
too
here it comes.
damaged.
Here comes this image, or you know, this and that, and never happens because it's PG-13. So definitely kid
Right.
friendly
Or it happens off camera.
or
Yeah.
off camera. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's and I guess I'll go into my quick general impression. Like I said, I came out of this pretty positive as a longtime Chucky fan, Child's Play. I was super excited for another Killer Doll movie because we've gotten a lot of Chucky over the last few years, like a lot. Like I welcome Chucky always, but I was kind of feeling the burnout, so I was welcoming something new, and it didn't disappoint. It was everything I expected, but that was all. It was just everything I expected. Um, if you're a fan of Child's Play and want like a more modern take on it, like the 2019 remake Child's Play, I think this movie does some things better than that and does some things worse than that. So I don't know. It's kind of a tough call, but I probably give it like 3 out of 5 stars, just because it was a fun movie, like you said. It was enjoyable. It's a fun Killer Doll movie, and it's interesting because it has a modern take on the whole thing and some modern ideas. So it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's not that scary. You can bring your teenagers with you. They're fine. Yeah, and I think that's my kind of spoiler free. I can't really talk about it anymore without spoiling you guys. So that's it for that section.
So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. Press pause on us, but make sure you come back and listen to the rest of this discussion.
Yes, we have much to say as always. So I guess we can.
So let's say it.
Let's say it now. Spoiler right here. Let's see. So I guess we'll start from the beginning, kind of, and just kind of go
Yeah.
through this.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
I like I said, it's gonna sound like I didn't like this movie. I enjoyed
Well,
this movie. I thought it was just an easy, like
easy watch.
laid back kind of watch.
It
Yeah.
was. It was after Barbarian, which we reviewed last week. This
Yeah,
was very
right.
easy to watch.
It was a very easy watch. Yeah. I wanted, based on the trailers, I wanted so much more out of it.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a way better, way creepier movie if they had just gone for the R rating.
Yes.
I think they could have made Megan so much creepier, but she did have her creepy moments, like when she was sitting in the dark and you'd see her little eyes pop over, or like, you know, if someone said something, just the slight movement in her facial expressions were insane and told so much. So I do applaud like that, the face of Megan and her little tiny facial expression changes were really great.
Yes. Yeah,
But
it
I
was
just
creepy.
wanted more out of it. There weren't really any epic kill scenes. There weren't like over the top creepy.
It was toned
the
down.
biggest jump scare. Yeah, it wasn't really scary to me. The biggest jump scare for me didn't even have anything to do with Megan.
Me
It was at
too.
the very beginning of the movie where the neighbor's dog jumped and hit the window of the car, and I just happened to be like scratching my eye when it happened,
Oh,
and I
Lord.
jumped so hard I about took my eyeball out.
Oh my gosh, that was a close one. How was Megan? Well, I have an eye patch now.
Well, I only have one eye now,
now.
so.
Yeah.
But
That got
it
me
was
too.
good. Like they had its good creepy moments,
Yes.
but like they were kind of few and far between. And I think the movie could have been so much shorter. Like
Yeah.
it felt like it took forever to get going.
That was gonna be my first point. The beginning
Yeah.
drags on way too much. Of
Oh
course,
my
there's a
gosh.
lot of setup, which I appreciate to a degree.
Too much. I
To a
like. I
degree.
think for this movie though, it was too much
It was.
because it wasn't a necessarily like deep storyline. Like we all knew what was going on from the get go when we see her and her parents driving on a icy road. Like
Yeah.
we knew where this was going.
That
like
could
it
have.
had.
Yeah, that could have been a quick
Yeah.
scene. Like we show the kid in the back. She's got her little Furby, or modern Furby,
Oh my
whatever
God,
that's
those
what's
Furbies!
called.
Honest to God,
That was
like
scarier than Megan.
the mouth on them,
Yeah.
like those teeth.
Yeah, it took me back to that.
Those could be a movie. I don't want them to do Megan 2. I want them to do those
This.
forever pets or whatever
Yeah,
they're called. I don't even remember what they're called.
Take those, make them like Critters, like the movie Critters, and just make that a
Furby
new
attacks,
movie.
or like a Gremlins-esque.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh gosh, we should stop talking. We need to coin this idea before someone takes it.
right.
But yeah, that could have been like, a really short scene. Like you show the Furby, she's playing on her iPad, and you get the themes right away. Like it's right there. Like, okay, kids and technology, we get it. And then, the car crash. We don't need that drawn out. It could be really
And
quick.
can we talk about the while we're on the the conversation of the weird Furbies?
Yeah.
I can't even remember what they were called now.
Me neither.
But
Not important.
the commercial at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that was
where
funny.
It's like,
That was funny.
oh, your pet died.
Yeah,
Like,
that was my
what?
first laugh of the movie. Oh no.
Oh
Yeah.
no, he's dead.
Yeah.
I was like, this just got so dark.
Yeah, that actually made me laugh. I was hoping the movie would stick to that like kind of tone,
I
like that
was
funny
too,
dark
I was
humor
too,
tone.
yeah.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
As much as I wanted it to. But yeah.
That's what I was kind of hoping for as well. Maybe that's one of my problems with the movie is it started out with that kind of dark humor tone.
Yes.
And it was like it couldn't quite decide if it wanted to be a dark comedy or just an actual sci-fi horror movie, because there were other little moments where it would touch on comical things, and it was like they were just towing the line where you couldn't tell if they meant it to be funny or not.
Yeah. And then there'd be these moments of like where it focused on child trauma and child psychology, and like that would change the tone a bit. Like we'd
Yeah.
backtrack into that. Yeah, it was kind
A
of a lot
lot
of
of
tonal
that
problems.
took up way too much time. Like, I think you could have gotten the exact same story done in probably like 30 minutes less than what it was, or
Yeah.
more even, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it just, a lot of it was like, oh my gosh, okay, can we hurry up and get to the creepy doll like murdering people? Thank you.
Which, yeah, I immediately, because I can't help it, I'm gonna compare it to Child's Play. Like because that original movie traumatized me, because I saw it at an early age. But we get into that really quick. Like we see Charles Lee Ray possess Chucky, like that's a creepy opening, and then the doll shows up. Like I don't know what the count on the minute marker is, but happens a lot quicker in this movie because that's what we wanted to get to. And yeah, it just took too long. There was a lot of setup and showing, like we should have skipped to the office like a lot sooner with like the creepy M3GAN 1.0, whatever they called it, the prototype.
Yeah, and I have a problem, just personally. I know literally everybody is comparing this movie, comparing M3GAN to Chucky. I have a problem comparing her to Chucky personally. Not I'm talking like OG Chucky, not the new Child's Play where he actually is like a robot and he looks really weird and not like Chucky at all.
Tell us what you call him. Tell us what you call him.
If you ordered Chucky off of Wish.
I agree.
I'm okay comparing it to that movie because he was like this robot AI kind of toy. But in the original, like, I don't like comparing them because, like, the original Chucky, he was like a legitimate toy doll that's been taken over by the spirit of Charles. And so it's different to me because M3GAN, like, really, they didn't define well, is she a robot or are we going to view her as a toy because she's such high tech that
Yeah.
it's like it felt more to me like an iRobot movie or
It did.
artificial intelligence, something like that.
It was
not
very
necessarily a child's toy doll.
It's very
which in
yeah.
my opinion is creepier. I think if we had gone more of the doll route than the robot route, and she's even called a robot several times in the movie instead of a doll. I think
Yeah.
dolls are way creepier than robots.
I do too. Are you thinking a la Annabelle?
Yeah, I mean,
That sort
come
of
on.
thing?
Annabelle is like Annabelle. Good lord, Annabelle is the
Annabelle, yeah.
OG creepy doll. That and then the puppets from Dead Silence scared the living crap out of me when I was younger.
Yeah, dolls are creepy.
Dolls are creepy.
Yeah. And yeah, there was so much. This was like she was like she's almost like a Terminator, like towards the end of this.
Oh, that's literally that phrase was used when the aunt like chops her head in half, or tries to anyways, and we were literally like, oh, so now she's the Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. And like I don't really want to compare it that much to Child's Play either, like the OG, because that's completely different. But I do want to compare it, like, I don't want to skip straight to the end because there's some middle parts to talk about, but like that was the other letdown I had with this, because we got a really stretched out beginning and then we got an ending that felt really rushed when the kills started happening. And we got to that final rushed, yeah. Showdown or whatever. Like, I just think back to the original Child's Play and, like how Chucky got like burned and messed up and he just kept getting back up. That was the creepiest part of that, when he got up and he was all burnt and he was like, hello, Andy. That was so creepy.
Which they went for that, but that's where I think if it had been rated R instead of PG-13, it would have been more impactful, because they had her get back creepier. Up, and her creepy little crawl was creepy, but like it wasn't all the way there. Like, they could have been so much more.
Yeah, exactly. They should have done a little bit more. Like, they like the thought of like going through the house and M3GAN's like somewhere just hiding in the dark, like waiting to jump out and stab you or something. That thought was scary, but it all took place in her little workroom. Like most of that like final
Yeah.
whatever, it all happened there, and that's where it just ends, you know.
Yeah,
So
I would say for what I was thinking it was based on the trailer, M3GAN had kind
she
of a
did.
low kill count,
She did.
honestly, like if you think about it. And the creepiest thing that drew me in the trailer was the way she moved, and the way when she's like running after that kid in the woods on all fours. That was so I thought that was like the creepiest thing from the trailer.
I want to
That's
see
what I
more.
was like, I want to see this
Yes.
because it looks crazy. And then she only did that one time. And then the other part from the trailer where it makes it look like she's doing that is actually a dance scene where she's killing the boss with the paper cutter thing, which I was kind of like, why are we dancing right now? Like, it didn't really make sense in the moment. I don't know if they were trying to go for like just a viral TikTok dance, or if they were, which they succeeded because it was all over
yes,
TikTok.
Yes, it's right there with Wednesday now. Yeah, like
the new
it
Wednesday
would have made
dance.
sense to me if like M3GAN was like, it would have been funny actually if she would have like walked by a TV and you know there's like Katy Perry or somebody like doing a dance on there, and it was like her like trying to mimic that as she was killing people. That would have gotten more of a laugh out of me because that's how she learns. Because she's like learning, picking all this stuff up.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of the thing is I'm like, okay, you guys are towing the edge of dark humor. Is this supposed to be funny or not? Like, it was one of those things where I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing at this, even though I am.
Oh, and sorry, viewers and listeners. I'm kind of all over the place tonight, but I have to mention this before I forget. Do you remember the part with the therapist?
Which part?
And like
there was a couple parts.
And she's interviewing the child that you don't like, and is a bad actor, and I agree with you. But Katie.
Oh, Katie. I can remember her name.
Yeah, her. But do you remember that part of the therapist like interviews her and she cries and M3GAN goes, "You made her cry," all creepy like. I was like, that therapist is dead. She's dead.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get a kill scene.
Good.
Oh
yeah, 100%.
I'm convinced that's like
and then it didn't
something
happen,
they cut. Like that therapist got, because we never see her again, do we? We don't see her anymore.
They cut out. Yeah. Well, her aunt like runs into her. No, we see her again after she takes M3GAN away. The therapist is talking to Katie at the office, and M3GAN's like in the bubble wrap contraption. That yeah. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I kind of hope M3GAN snaps and like gets rid of Katie, because she is being a complete brat right now. Like I know she lost her parents, but she was so obnoxious the entire movie and to me, because I was like, oh my God, like this girl needs a timeout, like for real.
And of course that was part of the problem, because she wasn't having an actual parent. She was just having this robot companion, and I guess that was the message.
Which I get, it was part of the message in the story, but the actress just like overacted it so much that it was like, okay, now I'm like forgetting about the main point of this and the main point of the movie, and I'm just like, you're annoying.
Yeah.
like I just want to like be like, you're in timeout now.
Like kid actors, it's hard, you know. They're kids. They're kids.
It's hard with kid actors, yeah. They are. But I have seen some really great kid actors in some horror movies before, too.
That's
that
true.
don't overact things. But she had her good moments, too. I'm not trying to say she was just a bad actor in the whole film, but because she did have some good moments, and she had some creepy moments where she was just kind of sitting there really sullen.
Yeah, that was a good portion.
In those over-the-top moments, it was like, oh my gosh, please someone, like, just shut this kid up, you know?
Yeah. Like the emotional moments were hard. I could tell for her probably to, you know, convey, and you know, she's a kid. I'll let it slide, but I definitely noticed. While we're on the tone of acting, I would say some of the other acting in the movie isn't the best either. I'm not gonna like pinpoint anybody specifically, but it is a movie where you don't get really a lot of big name actors anyways. Very few.
I haven't looked into the cast list a lot to see like what other roles some of these cast members had. The only person I recognized was Allison Williams that played Aunt Gemma,
who I liked.
Who is, of course, in Get Out from Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
But she's the only one I recognized.
I thought she did a good job. She was good. She was, for what she was doing, she
was good, yeah.
Fine.
I thought
didn't have a problem with her at all.
Yeah, me neither.
I thought the combination of M3GAN actresses, like the young and the voice and all
three of them, yeah.
the combo was great. I loved every scene with M3GAN was great. My favorite.
I do really like that they used real people for M3GAN and didn't make like the entire thing
yes,
CGI.
That made such a big difference. I always applaud that, like less CGI. But it made that feel more real, like her movements and I don't know, just the whole thing. And her
made her feel more real, which was like the whole thing they were going for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just you can kind of see the evolution though. Like, it's almost like M3GAN picked up Katie's, like, is her name Katie? Is that right? Katie, the little girl?
Katie, yes.
Yeah.
My name.
I just that's why I feel weird saying it. But I feel like if she picked up Katie's, like, snarkiness and, like, stuff throughout the movie, because M3GAN, by the end, is, like, being like, hey, B, I hate you and blah blah blah. Like, she just gets more and more mean throughout the movie and more sadistic. So I don't know, it's kind of
because they did talk about that's something else too that they kind of touched on but never really like fully recognized was like this doll and you pair together.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it would take on like your mannerisms, and if it's learning from its environment, like it would you guys would kind of form some sort of like weird connection. But they didn't really delve like super deep into that either. So it was just kind of the premise of the doll and like the selling point in the movie for the doll to be sold to the public.
Exactly. Which I guess the retail price of M3GAN, I did it. I knew it. I just guessed a random number, and then they said the movie. I was like, oh yeah, cool. But
yeah, I was like, oh well, I'm not getting a M3GAN.
Oh, me neither.
So I'm safe.
I will point that out too. That Jenna's boss asked for a cheaper, more sellable product, and she delivered a $10,000 doll companion.
And he's just like, okay.
He's like, this is great, even though, it's catered to the super rich. Nobody else can afford this, but
like super rich, like even like, wealthier people, but that are still normal people. Like I don't think you're going out buying your kid a $10,000 doll. I could be wrong because I am broke, but I don't see people doing that personally unless they're just like ridiculously rich.
No. Yeah, no way. Like here, like.
So he was so easily just like, yeah, let's do this. It was a little like, well.
Yeah,
okay.
that part was a little weird. Just like that whole thing in general. And then there was that part where it was his assistant, right? Like took all the files and, sent them.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna go somewhere. I thought that was gonna be the end. I thought it was going to be revealed that the other company that took their other idea was like making these cheap knockoff M3GANs, and then like this M3GAN would like take them over or something, and there'd be like a bunch of M3GANs. And
that's kind of that's how I wish it would have ended. Like the ending we get is it just shows
takes over Alexa.
Alexa. I don't remember what her name was in the movie, but basically Alexa. And it just shows her turning on or whatever. I think it would have been a way better ending if it went the road of like some of the stuff you've seen with Chucky, going back to Chucky, where if maybe like it cut to another office building with like these execs walking down a hall and being like, oh, we're gonna have it ready to release by blah 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 whatever, and they open a door and it's just like a giant warehouse room just filled with M3GANs and boxes or something like that. I think it would have been a way better ending.
Yeah, Yeah, that of course, if they do a sequel, they could open up with that. Are you laughing because I said doo doo? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ha ha. But yeah, they could open up with that. Um, if they wanted to. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in the ending too. Like, I wanted a more horrific ending.
The build up was so long. Like the beginning of the movie took so long. Then the apex like main
Yes.
fight scene was maybe like 10 minutes, and then it just kind of ends, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. I even looked over to the person that went to the movies with me, and I was like, do you think there's a scene after the credits? Like,
Yeah, it's unusual. It's unusual for it to just end like that. Like, I don't know if they were like not confident, like, oh, maybe let's just leave this in case we want to make a sequel, but we're not like sure. Like, some sequels are already like in production when the first one gets released, so maybe they're just kind of waiting to see how this does, and they didn't want to set anything up. That way they could just end it if they wanted to and not make another one. I don't know. I don't know. So, but I would like some more of this. I would like to see, like with the corrections that we're mentioning made to it, like more horror in it. I would like to see a sequel.
yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be upset with a sequel. I would just want it to be creepier and scarier. Because I think you can still be creepy and scary even without pushing to an R rating. Really.
Yeah.
But I think it would be so much better if they just went with the R rating. Like I think they could have like really made it creepy.
Yeah.
But they could have done more creepy things and left the PG-13 rating as well. Cause like just her movements in general, like that was creepy. Like her just being weird and creepy in the dark. Like could have had so much more of that. Like a scene maybe of Gemma sleeping in bed and her just like what would I'm totally making this up now,
Yeah.
but if there had been a scene of like Aunt Gemma sleeping in bed and she was already mad at her and she like kind of was watching her sleep or like creepy crawled up her wall
Yes.
and like hung over her or something like that,
Yeah.
like it still would have been so much creepier.
More images of M3GAN moving like that in the dark would have.
More images of her just being creepy would have been great.
Yeah, like I mean,
It had it, but they just really did the bare minimum in my opinion.
yeah, I mean, she is like an AI. She is an AI, but she's also a doll, so you can do
Yeah.
more doll stuff and it not come
Yeah,
off as
I think it would
cliche.
make it way creepier if you leaned more into the doll toy side of it than the AI robot side of it.
Yeah, and like they could have done stuff more like with her learning, I think, like her picking up things and like mimicking them, but like in a creepy way. I would like to see more of that. And like, because by the end, she's like, she's got like this. I forget how she starts out, but she seems to start out like, just a normal like child friendly doll, and by the end, she's like, the world is doomed. Humankind is awful. Like, she just
I loved when they put in her singing Titanium. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I think they're putting this in there to be like a little haha funny moment, but you
Yep.
couldn't quite tell if it was meant to be funny or not. But I was like, I thought it was funny that she was singing Titanium.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, I feel like I'm making it sound like I just didn't enjoy this movie. I did enjoy this movie. I wanted it to be so much more than it was because it had some really great people working on it. Like James Wan is my favorite horror director, and he was a producer on this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the screenwriter for it is the same screenwriter that did like *Malignant*
Yes.
and
Forgot to mention that. Yes.
something else I've seen too. And then I think she's also doing *The Nun*
Yes,
too
she
with
is.
James Wan.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
I was just expecting more, I guess. I was expecting it to be really creepy, like those other movies that I have seen from these people that were working on M3GAN.
And we don't know. Like, we could get a uncensored version that comes out, and it could totally, a few scenes could totally change our perspective. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. will happen, that we'll get an uncensored and just get all the moments that we wanted. But I don't know, like there's a lot of scenes where I was expecting something horrible to happen, like, and I'm just thinking about the kills, like the kill, of course, first kill is the dog, because the dog, hurts Katie, so the dog's gonna get it.
Okay, I
Um,
know the dog was being a bad dog, but I hate
but
when dogs die in movies. That made me mad.
I do
I
too.
don't care how many people get unalived. If you hurt a dog, I'm gonna not like you.
Yeah,
That's my
because it's
PSA
not
for
the
the
dog's
day.
fault.
And I love
It's not the
puppies.
dog's fault. Yeah, yeah. We are dog people here at the Poppet Pals.
I'm glad that that happened off screen. That's the one thing I'm glad that was happening off
Me
screen.
too, because I was certain, and that was an almost creepy part where that dog owner, it kind of made me sad, but it was almost a creepy part where she was like going to find her dog in the middle of the night, she's gonna die. But like, and like Megan's like making dog sounds and like trying to lure her in. I was like, this is gonna be scary. And it super fell flat, but I was really more afraid they were going to show the dog when she like lifted that up,
I was
that
too. I
little
thought it was the dog under the tarp,
that tarp.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which I hope that's not like on an uncensored version anywhere. I don't want to see it. But you
No,
know,
because the dog is 25 miles away, 5 feet down, or whatever she
that's
said.
what she said. Yeah, which we get it. Megan's evil. She killed a pup. We're angry at her. But like, and then I don't know. I thought that could have been the creepiest kill, and then it just happened
Hmm.
so fast. There wasn't enough
Yeah.
build up to it, and she kind of ripped off Chucky because she like pulls out the nail gun, and I was like, oh, it's a Chucky thing you're doing there. I saw it, but no, but it's fine. Uh, but yeah, that was one of the instances, and the one after that you had a problem with the ear.
Oh, that ear.
You,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think a human ear would stretch that way. Like, I just don't. It made it a little cheesy to me, a little corny. Like, I'm sorry, cartilage is not going to stretch that way. I think if it had just, like, saw style ripped off his body, that would have been more gruesome and more to the effect and more realistic. When it
yes,
started
yeah,
stretching like a piece of cheese pizza, I was like, this is
yeah,
stupid.
literally,
Like, this is stupid looking.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that
and that
was
was
my one big problems with the whole thing.
yeah, like that was another like I don't know how they could have changed the setting or like I don't know that I guess that kill should have been more, gruesome and horrible, which it was. I mean, the kid got hit by a truck.
Yeah, I mean the
That
kill
was pretty
itself
bad.
was like pretty bad because she technically didn't. I don't think she even really pushed him, right? Did he just, or did she? I can't remember.
He
He just like ran over
I
the
don't think she
embankment.
did. Yeah, I
Um,
think he kind of fell down there or jumped down there.
yeah, so it was one of those like. I think it could have been way more, but that
He
one
couldn't
I
hear
was
that
also a
truck.
little bit okay with because it was like, oh, setting up of, well, I didn't kill him or I didn't whatever, and cause this kind of internal conflict with the little girl Katie when she explains away like, oh, well, it's okay because he just slipped or whatever she said.
Yeah,
Like rationalizing it.
and that's a child's play like thing from the earlier movies because it's like all these people die, like of course, and I think in Child's Play they think Andy did it, like when the babysitter like falls out the window or Chucky pushes her out the window. Like they're like, oh, did Andy do that? Is this kid a psycho? Like there's that
Right.
because the cops started thinking the aunt was doing all these kills, and
Yeah.
it was kind of comedic how that the same cop was coming by her house every day. That part was kind of
Oh, and
funny.
then the cop, like, what did he says something like, about the
About
kid
the ear.
dying, and then he like giggles. Yeah, the ear. It was the ear. He laughs, and I was just like, okay, again, is this supposed to be a dark comedy, or did he just awkwardly laugh, which makes me kind of feel awkward since he's not a character in this story, really. He's just a side character, so we don't know if he's
Yes.
supposed to be like a funny person. I mean, it's just kind
Yes.
of weird.
Yeah, that was another tonal thing because, there was, and that was probably coming off one of the moments where, like, we were supposed to feel for, Katie, because we'd have like a darkly comedic moment, and then we cut to Katie, like, dealing with the trauma of her parents and,
Yeah.
Aunt Jenna not being there and, Megan being there for her, which I thought that was the whole point. Like, they were trying to build that bond between them, so it would kind of make us, I don't know if we were supposed to feel for Megan at all, but I don't know, I thought it was trying to go for that, like, focus
Yeah.
on their bond. But
And I think you could almost really even compare it to our discussion from last week with Barbarian. The fast tonal switches that kind of
Yeah.
give you whiplash. It worked for Barbarian because it was that like really interesting dark humor. But here, I just don't think it worked the way they wanted it to because they didn't lean in on it. And so you weren't sure if this was supposed to be funny or if it was not, and it's just awkward. But yeah.
I did laugh at the boss kill, even though it made what she did to the boss and the assistant kind of didn't really
Yeah.
make sense at that point, because her kills were supposed to be like based off of what's happening with Katie,
Hurting Katie, yeah.
and then
Yeah.
then that was just
Especially the assistant. It was like, well,
yeah. I guess the idea was nothing traced nothing traced back, that so she could stay with Katie, I guess.
I don't know, but yeah, their kills like were kind of random, I guess, but and I said originally, like, I didn't, in the sense we were talking about earlier, I didn't like the dancing she did when she was like skipping down the hallway to kill the boss, but I did think it was a really cool, like, looking from a cinematography standpoint, the music they had
Yes.
playing and the choreography, it was a cool look. Like, it looked cool. It just felt really kind of out of place in the moment.
Yeah,
Just not feeling the tone, I guess. It was a cool scene, though. I know why people are, like, replicating it on TikTok.
yeah. I would like I said, I would like some build up to that, like, Katie
Yeah, like you were
aspires to be a
saying, yeah.
dancer. Katie's practicing
Yeah.
her ballerina, and Megan's helping her.
Like, I know she taught her that one little, like, sway dance in the beginning, but that was, like,
Oh,
really
yeah.
kind of all we saw of it.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
could have, like, made more sense if they had leaned in harder on the bond between, like, do they have this, like, weird AI connection now, or where they have the same personality or something like that, but which could
Yeah,
have
that-
also been cool. This just popped in my head. If they had done that, and then at the end, Megan had kind of transferred herself into Katie, that would have been interesting, too.
Ooh, that's a good. Whoa, that I didn't even think about that.
I don't know how they could have made that happen, since technically Megan's AI and Katie is a human, but they didn't make a lot of those connections of, like, for sure we're this stance on this thing, like we've talked about, so
I mean, we're
It's
talking
like-
about a movie where like 3 toy makers make an AI robot. I'm
Right.
sure they could have
Right.
come up with something.
they
Like,
could have figured it out. Yeah.
Megan,
Well, obviously Megan could have figured it out. She figured everything else out.
yeah. Oh, Megan slipped this microchip into Katie's cerebellum while she was asleep. That's what
Yeah,
that
it
little
could have
scar
been anything.
was.
Yeah.
Sewed her back
Yeah.
up, and yeah, now
We just
Yeah.
rewrote the movie. Yeah. Well,
And-
like I said, I thought it was an enjoyable watch. It wasn't like, it's definitely not gonna be one of my top favorite movies, and I don't know that it's one I would be like, oh, let's watch this movie if I'm looking for a movie to watch. But it wasn't bad. It was enjoyable. It was kind of just run of the mill.
yeah, killer doll, killer doll,
Killer doll,
or
yeah.
killer AI.
Killer robot, whatever. It was predictable. It was super predictable. Like,
It was
within
yeah.
the first, like, whatever, when we saw her original robot she built, I was like, oh, he's gonna stop Megan.
The-
And
the
then when we
Rock'em
were in the
Sock'em.
lab, Yeah, and then when we were in the lab and her lab assistant forgot to put that chip in her back in her head so her head didn't catch on fire, I was like, oh, that's how they're gonna get rid of her, is they're gonna pull that little chip out or whatever, or destroy it, which is what they did. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was
And
predictable, but it was a good movie. That's
it
my
was
final
good.
thought on it.
It was good. I like you said, like I just appreciate more atmosphere. And I think that's what this movie
Hmm.
was lacking. Like make it in a different atmosphere, like in darker woods instead of well lit woods, or
Yeah.
in a bigger, darker, creepier house. Like doing more things there. I feel like you could do with those movements. Like I liked when the water got accident. Well, actually, that part didn't make sense because she got like water on her and they like messed her up for a
Oh
few
yeah.
minutes. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
And
that
she
didn't
started
make
doing the
sense, but
movements and stuff, like all
yeah.
creepy. But yeah, like more stuff like
But
that,
yeah.
I would have appreciated.
So what we're saying, I guess, in general, is just it was a good movie, but it could have been a great movie.
Yes, it could have been great if they would have just stuck to, a tone, one tone, and I personally would appreciate the darker comic route with a sequel. Like, of course, that's what Child's
Yeah,
Play
I
did.
could go either way, but I think just pick one way and go.
One way. Yeah, like give us an R rating next time. Like, of course that would be hard if like a bunch of teenagers are like, we love Megan. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna be
mean, I don't
hard.
think you, like I said, I don't think you have to go R rating necessarily, especially if you go dark comedy, but pick
Yeah,
either
true.
creepy or pick dark comedy, like, and go hard in it
Yeah,
and just go with it. Yeah.
because we love both. We love both. Like,
We love both.
I love Child's Play when it was a straight up horror movie in the first one, and then I loved Bride of Chucky when it was like a dark comedy. I love both.
Hmm.
Like just mix it up and I don't know, but stick to the tone throughout, and you'll have a great movie. So, yeah, that was my final thought as well. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. Go, it's a fun weekend movie. Check it out. And
It's
we'll
in
we'll
theaters right now. Let us know in the comments on our TikTok or Instagram what you thought of the movie.
Yes, let us know. Let us know what you would like us to review next. We've got a lot on our agenda here. If you
There's too
really,
many to choose from. Too many good
yes,
movies.
yes, yeah, we will be recording well into our senior years, and we will not be done with all the movies we want to do. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Go check us out there, refer us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.